Hi everyone, this is Pallavi and you are watching Indian Masterminds. In this special session of Tales from Legends, we have with us retired DGP of Uttarakhand, Mr. Anil Raturi. Not only as a police officer, he has also been successful on literary front. Recently, his book Bhanwar Ek Prem Katha has been launched in Uttarakhand and is widely praised. Today, we'll talk to him about his book and also learn about his experiences as a civil servant. Welcome, sir. First of all, many congratulations for the book.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll start, with your policing career. Obviously, policing is a tough job, and not only maintaining the law and order, but a police officer has to deal with crimes and criminals on daily basis. So, how much of all this has changed you as a person?
Well, policing, as you have rightly said, is a very challenging task, and it has all kinds of challenges. Perhaps a career in the police is one of the most challenging of all careers that are available in the human society, not only in India, but perhaps all over the world. The gamut of experience and the kind of people of all echelons of society that you interact with enriches your own experience and does affect you as a person to the extent that you grow. That is the positive side of the experience. The other side, the flip side would be that there is often a danger of the kind of life that you live, in the sense that you are interacting with, at times, most of the sordid kind of criminal activity in society. And that also does impact you. And to that extent, it is also a challenge to maintain your sanity, your humanity, and not get brutalized. So these two aspects are what are the challenges. And I think I did well in the sense that I was able to shake off the dust that one would get from dealing with this aspect of society, and at the same time get enriched with the gamut of the richness of humanity.
Yes. And with all this going on, how did you manage to protect your creative instinct and your literary ability and other hobbies also?
Yes, that's a very valid and very, very important question, because in uniform, we live a life, number one, of that everything is, there is a drill for everything. There is very little scope for one to fudge that drill or to have your own initiative in that drill. That is with the army, with all uniformed services, more with the police. But apart from that, compared to other uniforms, in the police, the challenge of dealing with criminals and thereby getting brutalized is very much there. And that impacts the natural creative instincts of human beings. Well, I would say that I was very, very fortunate that I was a student of English literature, and I was aware of this challenge. And I had already, as a student, after I finished my MA, and I was continuously reading literature, music, culture, all those things which are the finer aspects of life. They helped me, despite the long hours of duty. Whatever little time I used to find, I used to listen to music, I used to read books. There was hardly a day in all my career where I did not read something new. All that did help me, and my student days had also cultivated to a very large extent a very fine aesthetic self in me. So all these things did help me in the long run to shake off the dust that one would say settles because of the kind of challenge that the career faced. And I always had this, I would write something, because that urge was there. And but in the course of my career, I didn't get any time. Once I superannuated, then especially in the last COVID lockdown when I was at home, I finally was able to write.
Yes. So I was coming to that only. Like your book, which title is Bhanwar Ek Prem Katha, was published recently.
The title is Bhanwar Ek Prem Kahani, not Katha.
Kahani. Okay, Prem Kahani. I'm so sorry. I'll correct that. Bhanwar Ek Prem Kahani was published, and for what I have read about it, the book looks like an autobiography, and it has all the elements required for making any book a good read. So, like you said, you got time in COVID. So, what was the major reason that pushed you to write, that book? Obviously, you had plans, but for that idea.
Well, you may ask this question to a painter. Why does he paint? What made him paint? Why does somebody sing? Why does somebody act?
No, I was asking about that specific book. Like obviously you were a student of English literature. So one day or the other you might end up writing. But what was the idea behind this book, like Bhanwar Ek Prem Kahani?
See, as a professional police officer, as a civil servant, we over more than 3.5 decades, we have enormous experience in life stories. Enormous. Every day there are at least 100 stories that we come across, real life stories of people which we have involved as professionals, in which we are involved as professionals. It would have been very easy for me to write a professional book or a book on some incidents of what happened during the course of my job. But I purposely went away from that. I went to write a completely fictional story. And when you say this book which I have written, Bhanwar Ek Prem Kahani, इसमें कोई आत्म कहानी है, ये बिल्कुल गलत है. इसमें कोई आत्म कहानी
I read somewhere.
केवल इतना उसमें मिलता है कि जो उसका मुख्य नायक है वो देहरादून मसूरी में पैदा होता है, पढ़ता है, स्कूलिंग करता है, वो गढ़वाल का है और वो पहाड़ में जाता है और वो फिर दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय जाता है और वहाँ वो पढ़ता है और वो साहित्य पढ़ता है, वो अंग्रेजी साहित्य पढ़ता है और फिर वो सिविल सर्विस में आ जाता है. उसको कुछ certain poets, certain specific things which he likes may be common, but beyond that, entire story, the issues involved, and the complete sort of plot is new, fictional, original, and has nothing to do with the writer whatsoever.
Okay, but there are some similarities, like the background.
Beyond that, no.
No, okay. Okay, so I'll talk about the book only. In the book, it mentions that the lead character, receives a book from his father as a gift. It was, I guess, David Copperfield, by Charles Dickens. So, who was like, if it is true, it is true about you also. So, was your father the one who introduced you to literature, or was somebody else? Like, how did you pick this interest?
I would say that as a child, first nobody presented me David Copperfield. That's
fictional. That's fictional.
Second part about who introduced me to literature, I would say nobody introduced me to literature. I got introduced to literature by some accidental events in my life, and maybe I had an innate proclivity towards literature and inclination, which as a childhood times, I did not consciously know about that or realize that. But I always liked to read books, and I was particularly good in literature, in college, in school, everywhere. So in due course, after my schooling, I took to literature, not because I wanted to do literature per se, it was a conscious choice, But I thought getting a graduation degree would be easy for me in literature because I was good in literature in school.
Literature.
So
Okay.
that's how I ended up doing English. And by the time I got into my sort of second year especially in BA honors, I got hooked and addicted, and I realized that this is exactly what I was supposed to do. That God had made me to do this only.
Okay. So do you remember the first book which you read and that has, impacted you, influenced you in some or the other way? The first book that you have read.
Well, see, I began reading, I read Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island as a child.
Okay.
That impacted me. Then, of course, I went reading into Hardy Boys, Enid Blyton, and all those which you read in school. And in due course, I graduated to James Hadley Chase, Harold Robbins, those days in 60s, 70s, these books used to be there. And then I slowly came to literature. And I was very happy to read stories written by various writers. And when I went to college, at that time, I was particularly impressed by Wordsworth, by the writings of Joseph Conrad, Charles Dickens. So that I won't say there's one book. There are many, many books that impressed me. And I would not, yes, all these George Eliot, Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, and I mean, during the course of my college, these were the writers which I was impressed. John Milton, writing poetry. Yeah. So there were so many books.
Okay. So, like right now you mentioned that you also read William Wordsworth, and in your book also there is a lot of description about the nature and how any character looks in their attire. So is it because of like you are highly impressed with William Wordsworth, or like you yourself have a different connection with nature?
I get the point. I mentioned that there was some similarities between me and the main protagonist of the story.
Yes, yes.
One was that he was born and brought up in the schooling was done in Masuri Dar. That is with the protagonist as well as me. And he also is from Garhwal, like me, which is the Garhwal Mountains, which is the Himalayas. So these two aspects and these similarities, if I have drawn from myself to the extent that as a child, I was born in Mussoorie. I studied in Mussoorie. I did my schooling from Mussoorie. And in the course of my childhood, I visited my native place in Garhwal, in Tiri Garhwal. The Himalayan Garhwal, the mountains of Garhwal are very beautiful. And whenever I used to be close to nature, whether in my school, in the forest of my school, or in the mountains of my native place, I used to feel a very strange kind of communion with nature. And I used to feel that I am very lucky and to be there, one, and that I am able to feel many a times there were other people, other children with me who were not so affected by that. So the same exposure was making me a different person. As a child, I was very conscious of it. I couldn't understand what was happening at that point. And then slowly I grew up. But when I went to Delhi to study in Delhi, I missed that communion with nature and the kind of serenity and a strange kind of effect that it used to have on me. It's only when I read Wordsworth and his old worldview that I realized that exactly what he was saying was actually happening to me. So I suddenly realized that there was something in common in terms of the worldview with Wordsworth. Of course, he's a great poet and I'm a very minor person. But there was this feeling that suddenly Wordsworth told me what was happening to me because it had happened to him also.
So that's why. Okay. And like in the book, there have been, you have mentioned and you have talked about many incidents and have signaled that, if I'm talking about the civil services, that good officers or the civil servants will always have to take a back seat and the practical ones will be in the power centers. So could you tell us any incident where the same happened with you, if you are comfortable?
See, I told you that this story is completely fiction.
Yeah, so
And,
that's why I'm saying like
and
you have mentioned about it. So
whatever, see, I am the writer.
yes.
I am Anil Raturi as a
Mhm.
person who is different from Anil Raturi, the creative writer. So
Yes.
there is Anil Raturi, then there is Anil Raturi, the creative writer, too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the story is written by Anil Raturi, the creative writer, and he creates a character called Kesav Srinivasan. Kesav
Yes.
Srinivasan, senior IAS officer, who narrates the story.
Yes.
And he narrates the story about a fourth person. That is
Yes.
Abhay Nautiyal, who is the protagonist.
Yes.
And Abhay Nautiyal writes a story which is Bhanwar ek Prem Kahani as a writer.
Mhm.
So there are 5 steps removed from Anil Raturi.
Yes. But still, I wanted to know if that has happened with you also.
Uh, but whatever happens in this world, obviously, uh, it has to be related to society, and it
Yes.
has to be embedded in truth to the extent that it is revealing suspension of disbelief that the, the, the reader will have to have, otherwise he will not read it, because if there's no semblance of truth in it.
Mm.
So to that extent, there is truth in it, but it is a creative truth. It is not truth in the sense that it has happened with me.
Okay. I just wanted to, know like if that has happened. If not, then it's fine. Okay. So, like first, I would like to, come to your career as a police. So, could you tell us your best assignment as the police officer, your best experience?
It's very difficult to say which was my best assignment because every place was different, every challenge was great, and at the end, the satisfaction was immense in every place. But yes, human beings are very insignificant creatures, and their only significance is how many lives you can touch and touch for the better. That is their only significance because we are very transitory, and after some time, all of us have to die and just wither away. Now, to that extent, I will say police job made me interact with millions and millions and millions of people, and I was able to help many people in life, wipe many tears in life, and therefore that gives me great satisfaction. Therefore, to ask me which posting was the best posting, I will say it's very difficult to say because all the posting I was uh, apart from ASP in Bareilly, Meerut, SP City Lucknow, SP Rai Bareilly, SP Pilibhit, SSP Tawa, SSP Azamgarh, SSP Meerut. Then
Mhm.
I was IG Kumao. Apart from various other postings, I was DGP of Uttarakhand for almost 3.5 years, and I've seen all the aspects of policing. I went to National Police Academy as a faculty for 4 years as assistant director in National Police Academy, Hyderabad, where I trained IPS officers for 4 years. And many central service officers of the customs, income tax, many foreign police officers of Palestine, of Maldives, of Nepal, of various countries. So I would say one of the most satisfying experiences was training the young IPS officers at National Police Academy because every batch was 100 plus, and by the time I finished, I had trained more than 500 IPS officers, which means out of 3,000 IPS officers in the country, uh, about 600 people have been trained by me. And most of them are now DIG, IG, additional DG in various parts of India and abroad. And wherever I go, I meet them. Uh, so, and each one of them is going to affect millions of lives and going to reach very high levels of in the hierarchy. So howsoever insignificant you are, your contribution to so many people who are in turn are going to touch so many people, that did give me some sense of satisfaction.
Okay, and any community policing initiatives that you still remember and take pride in it, that yes, I was able to do that and this was my own idea and I feel satisfied about it. Anything like that?
See, I would suggest that the police in any district, whether in UP or anywhere in the country, normally the district population is 25, 30 lakhs of people, 3 million. India is a very populous country. And the police force in a district will be 2,000, maximum 3,000. So you are policing 3 lakh people or 30 lakh people with 3,000 people. Unless you elicit the cooperation, number one, the social legitimacy of approval that what you are doing is right, you will not get the cooperation from people. And without that cooperation, what will 3,000 people do against 30 lakhs?
Nothing.
So community policing is very important. This has been done in various ways in many places by me and many other officers. But one aspect I remember, which was very, very important and very significant, which happened when I was SP in Pilibhit. This was in 1993, when it was terrorist infested. Sikh terrorism was at its prime, and there was that area was very, very tough in terms of policing challenge. 29 people had been killed by the terrorists in one incident, 13 people in one incident, 14 people in one incident. So many incidents happened there. Many police people were killed, police officers, police personnel were killed. And that was the time when I realized that I had to reach out to the Sikh community in that district. So I went and I launched what was called Operation Goodwill. I went to the small gurdwaras of various villages and met people, despite the threat to my own life, because meeting people openly those days was a very big danger. And I said that if you have any information, you please give us about terrorists, and we will ensure that we will not lock up any innocent person. If there's even an iota of doubt about anybody's involvement, we will first 100% verify from all aspects, only then arrest them. And we will not indulge in false encounters. It was very difficult to convince them, but in due course, Operation Goodwill, I must have gone around in 500 odd villages, and finally it did help, and people started coming with information, and some of the greatest terrorists came and surrendered before me, and we ensured that we proceeded against them absolutely as per law and did no extraneous extra constitutional act.
So, sir, you served in UP cadre, and after the partition, you served in Uttarakhand, which is obviously your native land. So, did it make any difference in your working, or it was absolutely the same as a?
See, the law is same, constitution is same, all the laws are same, but the society is different in the sense that every place has its own culture, and any office, चाहे वो प्रशासनिक सेवा का हो, चाहे वो पुलिस का हो, उसको जिस समाज में वो जाता है, वहाँ की संस्कृति का ध्यान रखना पड़ता है। तो उत्तराखंड में संस्कृति थोड़ी सी भिन्न है। देश हमारा एक है, लेकिन हमारी भिन्न भिन्न संस्कृतियां हैं, और उत्तराखंड की संस्कृति पहाड़ी क्षेत्र से संबंधित है। अधिकांश पहाड़ का क्षेत्र है, कुछ एरिया इसमें उत्तर प्रदेश से लगे हुए हैं, हरिद्वार का, उधम सिंह नगर का, भल्द्वानी का, बहुत सारे एरियाज यहाँ उत्तर प्रदेश जैसी संस्कृति भी है। तो ये एक भिन्नता थी और उसके लिए हमें एडजस्ट करना पड़ा। यूपी में अपराध और शांति व्यवस्था की चुनौतियां उत्तराखंड के मुकाबले अधिक है। यहाँ चुनौतियां उतनी नहीं है, लेकिन अपराध के प्रति जो टॉलरेंस है वो और भी कम है वहाँ, क्योंकि मान लीजिए किसी जिले में 3 मर्डर हो जाते हैं और हर दूसरे तीसरे दिन कोई मर्डर होता रहता है, तो लोग उससे विचलित होते हैं, लेकिन उतने विचलित नहीं होते यूपी में। यहाँ अपराध कम होता है। अगर जो एक कोई किसी के साथ मारपीट भी कर ले और जनता में उसकी बात चली जाए, तो अपराध के प्रति जो एक टॉलरेंस है वो कम है, उससे वो विचलित उतने ही हो जाते हैं जितने की मान लीजिए 3 मर्डर से किसी जिले में यूपी में कोई होगा। तो पुलिस का कार्य उतना ही चुनौतीपूर्ण यहाँ भी। बस फर्क ये है कि थोड़ी संस्कृति का।
Okay. And sir, I have read somewhere that you are also a singer, especially you sing, I think, Garhwali song. So, how much are you active on that front?
I told you
Yes, I know.
कि आपने अपनी जो सृजनात्मक जो आप हमारी जो फैकल्टी है उसको कैसे जिंदा रखा। मैंने आपको बताया मुझे संगीत
Music
में
song.
मैं कोई बहुत ट्रेंड आदमी नहीं हूँ, ना प्रोफेशनल हूँ सिंगिंग में या म्यूजिक में। बस स्वतः स्वांता सुखाए जिसे कहते हैं, फॉर सेल्फ हैप्पीनेस आई डू दैट। I like to sing. I like to sing for myself, nobody else. But yes, once in a while, it perchance happened, and that somebody recorded it and put it on the social media, and people liked it. मुझे अपनी संस्कृति गढ़वाल से, भारत की संस्कृति से, इसीलिए मैंने हिंदी में पुस्तक लिखी। जब मैं अंग्रेजी का साहित्य का स्टूडेंट रहा हूँ और निरंतर अंग्रेजी स्कूल में ही पढ़ा, अंग्रेजी मैंने साहित्य पढ़ा, लेकिन मैंने ये प्रयास किया कि मैं पहली पुस्तक अपनी जो लिखूं वो हिंदी में लिखूं। जो हमारी मूल संस्कृति है वो भारत की है, तो इसलिए मैंने वो लिखा। मुझे उससे बहुत प्रेम है, और मैं पहाड़ का रहने वाला हूँ, गढ़वाल का रहने वाला हूँ। वहाँ की भी संस्कृति मुझे बहुत पसंद है। मैं ये कभी नहीं भूला मैं कौन हूँ और मैं कहाँ से आया।
Sir, I was about to ask you this कि आप you were student of English literature, but still you chose to write in Hindi. Obviously, you have already answered it. So I want to know, like, anything new happening in your literature front? Like, are you writing anything? Are you working on anything else?
I have many books in my mind.
And
many people have many books in their mind.
Yes.
Bridge that gap and bring it into on paper and bring it out. So I was able to somehow deliver this, and now I have finished research. मैंने उत्तराखंड के इतिहास पर अंग्रेजी में लिख रहा हूँ इसको. I am writing a book now. Recently, I have been working on that. Uttarakhand का the history of Uttarakhand in English, and I have finished my research. I will be writing that book in the next about a year. I have various other things in mind about fiction. I might at some point translate this book into English, and some people have suggested a sequel because this book, ये जो कहानी है ये 1971 में 1971 में शुरू होती है और 2001 में खत्म हो जाती है। 30 साल का अंतराल है, और ये पुस्तक मैं ये कहूँगा लोग अगर इसे पढ़ेंगे तो उन्हें भारत की जो सामाजिक व्यवस्था है, आर्थिक व्यवस्था है और अन्य प्रवेश सांस्कृतिक व्यवस्था है वो 30 वर्ष की इसमें मिलेगी। इसमें सिविल सर्वेंट की जीवन के बारे में मिलेगा, इसमें एक आदर्श अधिकारी कैसे कार्य करता है उसके बारे में पता लगेगा, और मानवीय जो पहलू हैं, भाव हैं, ह्यूमन स्टोरी, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल थिंग्स ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ इज द एबिलिटी टू टेल स्टोरी, एंड people really are very happy and the most happy when they hear or listen or see a story. तो मैं आगे भी कुछ और पुस्तक ऐसी कहानियां लिखने वाला हूँ। शायद 2001 से आगे की जो कहानी है वो चलाऊंगा, उसको भी लिखना चाहता हूँ। लिखना मैं बहुत कुछ चाहता हूँ, कहाँ तक मैं कितना लिख पाऊंगा ये अभी मैं कह नहीं सकता।
ओके। और सर थोड़ा एक पर्सनल सवाल, लाइक यू आर मैरिड टू राधा रतूड़ी and obviously she is a very well known name in bureaucracy. तो एक चीज मैं जानना चाह रही थी, like how is it like having your spouse too as a bureaucrat? It is good as both understand each other's job, or couple postings are hard to get and both are super busy to spare time for each other. So like how, but is it good for having if a bureaucrat have a spouse who is also a bureaucrat, or it becomes really difficult?
You can't, it's like one size fits all. You can't say that.
Yes.
One doesn't marry a bureaucrat.
Yes.
One doesn't decide that I will marry a bureaucrat.
Yes.
One marries a human.
Yes, you marry the person.
You are human beings first, and whatever these labels come, they are only after. They are all artificial creations. The only thing real and natural is the human thing in us. So we happen to meet, in the course of our training, and we liked each other, and as human beings we gelled, and we thought that we could live together, be partners in life. We were friends, and we got married, and it has worked well for us. Yes, the challenges of the jobs are very demanding, and many times we are not posted together. That happens. It takes a toll on your family life. But by and large, I think if there is understanding and affection and love among the spouses, then it works, and it has worked for us very well.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so lastly, I want to, talk to the aspirants and the newcomers in the bureaucracy. Any message or any life experience which you want to share to them?
Well, the first thing I would say that if somebody has joined this service or the civil service recently, or is on the verge of joining, or is trying to join, I would suggest he should read this book.
Yes.
Because भंवर एक प्रेम कहानी में एक जो मुख्य पात्र है, the main protagonist, he is a student who gives the exam, why he wants to become, why one should want to become at all, what should be the reason for one to join these services, the examination, and then the kind of challenges that this job brings forth, the conflicts, and how you can face them. What are the different challenges? These things are in this book. This book, ये पुस्तक जो है Amazon पर अवेलेबल है, भंवर एक प्रेम कहानी. इसको अगर जो आप पढ़ें तो काफी कुछ सीखेंगे. लेकिन those who want to join, apart from this, I will say that it is a very good career. And there was a time before 91 when this country had not liberalized economically. There were very few opportunities when we were students. So these jobs were very, very prestigious, and very tough exam used to be held for getting into them. So at that time, of course, the best used to come. After 91, a lot of corporate jobs came into this country when India globalized, and many people could go abroad also. So therefore, the opportunities increased. Of course, the challenge also increased in terms of the competition. But corporate world gave a lot of salary and high packages. So many people, instead of joining civil services, went to the corporate world. But in due course, I think after the pay commissions and all that, the civil service has now once again become very, very attractive. And now I think again it is one in terms of the selection of career. You may not get packages or which the global big companies will give you, but you will get a reasonable salary, facility. But the kind of impact you will have, the kind of respect that you will get, I don't think it is comparable with anything in anywhere in not only in India but in the world, where a 24-year-old person or 25-year-old young person or a lady or a boy or whatever, they get catapulted into positions of authority, who make decisions at a very high level from day one and impact millions of lives from day one.
Yes.
So that's a tremendous career. It is worthwhile for human beings and especially young people to try and get into these services. I will say, work hard if you feel that you want to, you're not so much interested in too much money. You want to have a good civilized life, respect some self-actualization, higher self-actualization of doing something in this world for which human beings are supposed to be created.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. It was really a very nice session. And I hope after this interview, more people will know about this book, Bhanwar Ek Prem Kahani, and will read it and will be inspired by it. Thank you so much for your time.
Amazon to have Amazon.
Yes, sir. Amazon Play. You can, and anyone who wants to read this book can buy it on Amazon. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. It was really
Thank
nice.
you very much.